July 6, 2026, Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate, Graham Platner was accused of raping a woman. Immediately, people called for him to drop out. Even most of his up till then ardent supporters found a line that they could not follow him across. This is good. Not what he allegedly did, which seems to have been breaking into a woman's home and assaulting her whilst in a drunken stupor. That's bad. It's definitely bad. The good thing is the denunciation. I had a weird response to this revelation, and immediately it made me feel selfish. You see, my anxiety started to rise. My heart sped, and it felt like it was trying to fight its way up until it could just burst out of my left shoulder. My head buzzed, my fingers buzzed, the skin under my eyes twitched and burned. It felt a bit hard to breathe. A year before Platner's alleged actions at the start of the pandemic, I was assaulted 3 times by 3 separate men. And I guess the universe saw that I was claiming to be verse on Grindr, so it got a joke in and made sure I got the thrill of experiencing the main 3 ways that one man might do that to another. The news broke, and I saw tweets about it, and I was back to thinking about those nights. I thought about how the first time I had full sex with someone months later, someone I was developing genuine feelings for, I wound up on the floor of his bathroom, panicking, remembering things that I did not want to remember, things that I had locked away as if they'd never happened, you know? What do you do with that? It's been 6 years. For a long time, I thought I was over that. I watched the assault scene and the girl with the dragon tattoo, and the guy I was seeing at the time held my hand. I got through it. I survived. I felt like I healed a bit. I read stories with assault. I wrote about my own. I stopped thinking about them. Every now and then they'd come back, sure, but it was less, and they hurt less, and I was fine. I was fine, or at least I told myself I was fine. In June 2026, multiple women accused Platner of poor behavior. This includes an account by a conservative operative who insisted that whilst the behavior was bad and immoral, she didn't want to consider it physical abuse. What she described, though, twisting her arm behind her back, trapping her in a room, and so forth, would be abuse if it happened, even if she doesn't want to call it that. We often don't like putting strong labels on what was done to us. I say that 3 men sexually assaulted me, but that's not really true. 1 man did. 2 raped me. On the day those accusations dropped, many online political actors, from random posters to alleged journalists, decided that it was all a nothing burger. They said the accounts weren't trustworthy, and even if they were, they weren't all that bad. This was the bombshell the libs were going to drop on our heckin'-based populist. Ha! Try again, libtards. That very same day, the man who assaulted me made a social media post about a project of his. We work in the same field. We went to college together. I knew him well before he did what he did. And then, like some masochistic moron, I didn't block him. I've never blocked him. I thought maybe one day seeing his post would unlock some magical motivation in me. I would see his posts and be angry and then be successful to spite this one man. He's the one who did the least wrong out of the 3, but he's the only one whose face I remember, so he's the only one I hate. He might be the only person I hate. That's fun. On that day in June, the New York Times article dropped, and that same day he posted an update about his success. His success that was greater than mine. I'd not healed as much as I thought I had, turned out. All over again, I felt like a silly little boy. I was sobbing in my bed. I was Googling that stupid question. Does it count? Yeah, it didn't matter what answers I found. I wasn't looking for answers. I was looking for a masochistic psychic bleed. I did not wake up feeling better, as would usually happen after those nights I thought about him. I wasn't better the day after that either. My stupid question, turns out, was perhaps an apt one, because suddenly I was looking at people supposedly on my side of the aisle, and I was asking myself, if I told them What had happened to me? Would they believe me? And even if they did, would they think it counts? Platner had to apologize for comments he made in a Reddit thread suggesting that women need to take responsibility for getting drunk and making decisions that they regret. The thread was about rape. These comments were made in the early 2010s. People say things, it's the internet, maybe they grow, maybe they regret them. It's good to try to give grace. The allegation is that in 2021, Platner got drunk and raped a woman. In 2020, a man who knew I did not want to sleep with him messaged me on Grindr. My capstone musical had recently been canceled by the pandemic that shares my name. I had already been assaulted twice, though I had buried those memories as best as I could at the time. My family was all in different states. I was isolated in my apartment, barely doing my coursework, drinking and fucking drinking and wishing I was dead. And on that night, he asked what I was doing. I told him I was drinking, keeping it friendly, keeping it cute, and he took that as a cue. He pestered, relentless, cloying, manipulative. Hi, stutter. He asked to exchange photos. He asked if he could come get me and take me to his apartment. He sent me a message that I have never forgotten. Please, please, please. I know you'd never say yes if you were sober. And he was right. I wouldn't. I'd made that clear, and he knew. He knew, and he didn't care. After that night, he never talked to me again. Did I see myself in these news stories? Is that what happened? What do you do with all of this pain and confusion? I've written about this over and over. I've butted into poetry and song. It's in plays. It's in the world building of a novel, I'll write one day. I've written about it essayistically. I've talked about it with friends, though not in much detail. I try not to think about it. Most days I don't. June 4th, 2026 was a double punch. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop telling myself that it was my fault. All of them were my fault, and maybe they didn't even happen. Maybe I made them up so I could feel special and damaged, and I could go around and hurt myself, and it would be fine. I thought I had healed, but there I was, sobbing and shaking and hating myself, debating the same question as the internet populace who must always defend the poor behavior of their standard bearers. Does it even count? Can you remotely believe it? What do you do with this? One of the first times that I was approached sexually was a message on Grindr claiming that I had a very, very, very rapeable face. I got variations on that a few times. I believe the first time was in 2016. 2020 just happened to, prove him right. He was ahead of his time. What do you do with this? Is there anything to be done? Why is the least bad one the only one I can't move on from? Is it taking the burden of the other two because I can place a face to it? Because it was the least painful physically, so remembering it doesn't summon phantom stabs? Is it because it's the one that's easiest to blame on myself? Neither of these news stories were about me, but my brain just couldn't handle them, and this made no sense to me. After all, I was never triggered by the stories of Epstein or the Me Too movement. Books, films, shows, manga, games, even erotica or pornography about assault don't trigger me, but the reporting on Platner and his alleged actions made me spiral. It cast me back. This made no sense to me. It felt both selfish and absurd. We learned about Graham Platner's Nazi tattoo back in October of 2025. There were over 6 months for the Democratic primary in Maine. There was plenty of time to find and run a different person to the left of Janet Mills. For some reason, this did not happen. This idea was not even championed. I think it's because Platner did not run as a progressive. He ran as a populist. What unites the populist left and the populist right? It's not that either of them are actually committed to the ideas of leftism or conservatism. It's a combination of conspiracism and a commitment to cruelty. Why did they love Platner so? Because he triggered the libs. You will, of course, find a bunch of centrists who will claim that all leftists loved Platner. This is not accurate. Leftism is not the same as populism. Populists loved him. Why? Because he was a Trumpian figure, someone whose many dirty scandals did not sink him, and so therefore they could point to him as an excuse for any and every cruelty they wanted to enact upon others. If voters accepted his poor behavior, voters might accept theirs. But thankfully, for the most part, the populist left does not accept rape. They are not Trumpists. But they will accept Nazi tattoos and rape apologies and homophobic slurs and ableist slurs, enthusiasm for war crimes, a history of voting for the very Republican you're running against, conspiracism, posts about how black people don't tip, which is a weird stereotype I never heard before this whole Platner saga. And they will get mad at anyone who dares to critique these things. When Janet Mills ran an ad pointing out Platner's history of poor behavior, these types called her pathetic, desperate. Populist movements cannot handle critiques on cruelty and poor behavior, up to a point, at least, which, on the left, rape is beyond, thank God. So they claim any such critiques are conspiracies. This is the technique of many a political asshole. Supporters of Platner and other polarizing populist figures claim that if you dared to be against their penchant for assholery, surely that means you care more about Israel than anything else. It means you're an establishment shrill, you're conservative, you're against any progressive policy, you're evil. MAGA Republicans, like the Tea Party before them, did the same thing to conservatives who agreed with them on many policies but were unaccepting of their poor behavior and cruelty. They painted those people as being secret deep state enemies, as being against the movement of actually hating whatever policy. You deflect critiques of bad behavior and the accompanying shame that results from recognizing you've behaved poorly, and instead you turn them into gasping screeds about policy positions that do not generally require the poor behavior the populist pretends they justify and demand. We all justify ourselves to some extent. If that man remembers what he did to me, does he think of it as a moral action, a mistake that he can't be blamed for? A progressive or leftist or democratic socialist or social democrat was not demanded as a replacement for Platner when the Nazi tattoo story or the rape comment story or the war crime enthusiasm story or the physical abuse story went live, because the populist permission system for cruelty was far more important than any policy positions. This is what you do with it. You defend yourself from thinking about your assaults by intellectualizing. You sublimate your pain into some essay about politics, some grander point, something removed from the self. When you step outside of the self, you can regulate your body a little. The panic dies down. You stop thinking so much about the details and those awful questions that you can't answer. Did it count? Why didn't I stop it? Why is this, of all things, the news that triggered me? Why am I such a silly, stupid little boy who can't move on? what are you supposed to do with this? So I ask easier questions. If we assume the allegations are true and we assume Platner was aware of all of his baggage, why did he run? Surely, if his goal was to further the causes of leftism or progressivism or liberalism or any other actual ideological ism that goes further than the embracement of vice, that is populism, he wouldn't have run. He would he he would have championed some other politician who supported the policies he supported, or at least supposedly supports. If we take all of that in, why would he run? I don't want to engage in conspiracy. I do not think this is a Republican plot. I'll be super honest with you. If you go and read the 2024 GOP national platform, I'm not sure the party leaders have the wherewithal to go about doing any dastardly plots that take a bunch of thought. That's the road that populism leads you down. By the way, the complete complete de-intellectualization of a political party. I fucking hate this. I think, again, the answer lies in populism itself. In 2016, Donald Trump was accused of sexual assault. He joked about it. He made racist comments, sexist comments, Islamophobic, ableist, but his populist movement forgave all of that, embraced it, rallied around him because of how it triggered and angered his opponents. The populist right found a champion to excuse all their worst behavior. In 2023, a jury found Trump liable for sexual assault. A judge would later state that E. Jean Carroll's characterization of this as rape was substantially true. Trump's movement did not abandon him. In 2024, he was reelected. Why would a potentially, allegedly sexist, racist, homophobic, war crime enjoying, sadistic, alleged rapist and abuser run for office in the United States as a populist? I'd say it's because they've seen someone do it already, and through doing it, they were embraced and they got away with it. This is not a problem with leftism. It's not a problem with DSA or Democrats or liberals or moderates or progressives or even communists. This is a problem with populists. Similarly, it's not a problem with alcoholism. Platner was an alcoholic, sure. He was drunk when he allegedly assaulted that woman. His drinking took the blame for many of his actions, and some are trying to blame it for this one. I was drunk when a man did what he did to me. Platner made a post decrying victims who drank and then regretted what happened to them. I once dated an alcoholic. He did many things, but he never did that. He asked consent for every action he did, all the time. He had many issues, but he was also very sweet. In bed, at least, he made sure I felt safe. This is not a problem with those who drink. This is not the result of drinking alone, at least. At some point, you would hope the left of center populist movements would look in the mirror. They would see where their enjoyment of triggering led them, right up to almost supporting an alleged rapist to office, someone with enough red-green flags that my red-green colorblind ass could pick each of them out of an Ishihara test. And they then might question how their movement of unending cruelty and vice signaling and owning people online for internet points and petty catharsis might be harming them in their souls. What of mine? What of my soul? The thing I like about essays is how they explore the self through exploring other topics. The best essayists can write about anything at all and reveal parts of themselves. Are there any answers to my questions? I resolved the first time I admitted to myself what had happened that I would never name him, not unless he ran for office, unless he gained power, and then I would speak up. And sometimes I wonder if that was the right choice. I wonder if it was selfish because of me, because I thought it was a mistake he made, something he maybe regrets. Maybe I don't want to think he'd ever do again. Definitely not anything worse than what he did to me. What if he has? What if there's some other poor, silly little boy out there wondering if what he did counts, why it hurts, why it's so just hard to fucking move on and let go? What if there is someone like that out there? I could have prevented it. If he does ever run for office, if I name him, if I talk about it, what he's done to me. How many people will throw those questions at me just because they agree with him or like his personality? Does it matter? Did it count? If it did, was it even that bad? I don't have any answers. And, well, what do you do with any of that, I dream of a better world. I think most of us do. Optimism is hard one, hard kept. So this speech from Waymond at the climax of everything everywhere all at once. I think about it a lot. This doesn't happen much these days. Best of luck to all of us.